I think more than anything, it's just been interesting to me to see how there is like one idea of what a like healthy sex life looks like to people, and I just think that they're wrong. I think they have an incorrect assessment about it. If your image of like a healthy sex life needs to involve intercourse with a man regularly, I just feel like we are not thinking expansively enough when it comes to sex.
Dude, where are you? Pick up your phone. I'm going to a summer party tonight, and you're obviously invited, so call me back. Okay, I love you. Bye.
What's up, you guys, and welcome back to Emotionally Online, the weekly summer party for spilling guts and sharing secrets, hosted by yours truly, the one and only Maddie Drosbeck, who is recording this a little bit early right now because as you are listening to this episode, I am on family vacation. Yeah, it's that time of year, even though I feel like I just got back from that trip with my mom, which I quite literally did. It's going to be nice to see my family, hang out with my parents. It's not a totally complete family vacation, which sucks, but Luke is in college, so he won't be there, and my grandmother is not coming with us either. So it is me, my parents, and then my other brother and my sister and both of their partners. So really this vacation is probably just going to be me hanging out with my parents and playing bingo. I'm ready to win big this time. I'm just rolling my luck over to the next family vacation. And I'm saying I've had good bingo luck so far. Let's just double it. Let's double it. I'll come home victorious. Next episode, I'll tell you that maybe I won bingo multiple times the way I did the last time. It'll be hard to beat 3 bingo wins in 1 week, but I'm going to try. I'm going to try my hardest and darndest because if anyone could do it, it's me. It is crazy how fast the time is flying by, though. It is already February 11th. By the time I get back here after this trip, it's going to be like a week away from my birthday, less than a week away from the fucking Oscars, which I have still much to watch. I've been trying to, as you know, watch every single nominated movie for the Oscars this year, and I've done a good job, but I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it in time. That week in between the trip ending and me coming home and the Oscars is going to be absolutely crucial. Also, I'm going to try to really utilize these flight times when I'm in the air, just doing fucking nothing, to see if I can slam a few more movies like that. It's going to be really close for me, though. I think the reality is probably that I will end up missing some of the visual effects nominees and probably the original song nominees that I haven't already watched. The ones that are nominated for original song that aren't nominated in any other category. So specifically the Elton John movie and the 678. No, that's not what it's called. The 6888. That's what it's called. I'm like 678 is absolutely not correct. 6888. That's what it's called. 6888 Elton John movie. Those 2 for original song. And then I feel like visual effects, I probably won't end up watching Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes because I've never seen any Planet of the Apes movies. So that's just like a huge commitment. And then I probably won't watch Alien Romulus. Sorry. But I'm going to try to watch everything else. I feel like that's only 4 that I'd be missing. That still feels like I have a lot ahead of me if that's what I'm planning on doing. Oh, Gladiator. Also, I don't think I'll watch Gladiator 2 because I've never seen Gladiator 1. But taking those away, I have 8 features left to watch and then 15 shorts. But ideally, I can watch all of the shorts in one go. And let's say I watch 2 movies on the flight there, 2 movies on the flight back. That's 4. Then I would just need 4 feature films and 15 shorts in the span of a week, which actually feels kind of doable. So maybe I will do it based on my current goal. Obviously, I'm not going to end up watching all of them because I'm kind of low-key cheating. But whatever. I don't care. This is the closest I've ever gotten. This is like the most I've ever done. So I'm feeling good about this so far. Last year, I just did the Best Picture nominees and like a couple extras. So I'm really slaying and I'm feeling good about it, but it definitely is going to be a close call once I get back, and I'm scrambling to finish those watches up. But I don't know, maybe I just love making things a little competitive, giving myself objectives and tasks to complete. This is why I love Toontown. How many times have I said that? I feel like every time the like idea of a task or objective comes up, I'm like, have you guys heard of this game called Toontown? And someone in the comments is like, you can still play Toontown? And I'm like, where have you been? Where have you been? Okay, you have so much to catch up on. But yeah, I think I just love having little boxes to check off. I love Letterboxd. I love stats, being able to see all the movies I watched, like what my most popular genres are, what my most popular decades are. I'm a patron subscriber on Letterboxd just because they give you so many more statistics to look at. Oh my God. It's just awesome. Apparently my highest rated decade is the 80s, which feels true, but also because I've watched probably significantly less movies from that period. Like, I've probably only seen the best of the best, the ones that people have told me to watch. I'm not watching, like, random fucking releases from the 80s the way that I am in, the 2020s, the 2010s. We were just going to the movies for fucking any reason at all. It didn't matter what was coming out, So I'm feeling like my top rated is 80s, my second is 90s, my third is 2000s. I'm like, that's probably the reason. That's definitely the reason. Not saying that those movies aren't great. Obviously, there's many great movies that came out around that time. I'm not trying to downplay the significance of those ratings to me. Absolutely not. However, the reason why they're probably my highest rated decades is because I simply wasn't alive during most of them. Or if I was alive, I was barely sentient. So, I probably have just had a different time in my presence in the consumption of media in the decades that have followed. So that's probably why, but I still enjoy reading the statistics. I still enjoy seeing what they tell me and looking at it on a little graph. It's just kind of awesome. Graphs are awesome, and we're just simply not talking about it enough. So I am behind on my Oscars death race, and ultimately I will not be completing my Oscars death race because I am allowing Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes to kill me. So that's that. Speaking of me almost dying, my entire social media feed has morphed into people taking cold plunges in the middle of lakes. Like, obviously there's that one girl who, I don't even know what she does, but she is the ice queen, I think. I think that's what she calls herself. I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. There's that one girl who does ice plunges in the lake, and she's like the ice queen, and she's like eating ice in the middle of the icy lake while she does the cold plunge. Every time I see her, I'm like, she's so me. But actually, maybe not, because I thought that I was the ice queen. And I went to go to a spa over for New Year's, and they had a cold plunge. And I don't think I've ever done a cold plunge before, or if I have, it was like for 5-10 seconds. My version of a cold plunge is simply like going in the ocean in Maine. But even that is like, the temperature of the ocean in Maine in the summer is probably like 60 degrees, maybe like 60 to 65 degrees. And so that has been my version of a cold plunge. These cold plunge pools were much colder than that. I want to say there was one that was like 45 to 50, and the other one was colder than that. I could be messing this up entirely. I'm simply flying off memory here, but I get served so much cold plunge content, and I want to know how these people aren't fucking passing out. Because when we went to the fucking spa on New Year's Eve, we started doing the cold plunge, and we're going into all of the different various tubs, doing a little water circuit. You do the sauna, you do the cold plunge, you go, you keep rotating around, as they tell you to do. And so the first few times I went in the cold plunge, I was only going in for like 15 to 20 seconds, maybe like 15 to 30 seconds even. I'll even give myself that. And I felt pretty good about it. I mean, like, you have to like focus. We went in the really cold one, and I literally, that breath thing happened to me where all of a sudden you're like your body like contracts every single muscle and you're like gasping for air and you have to like really think about breathing. When we went in the super cold one, I absolutely had that reaction. But the one that was in the middle, I felt fine with. And I was like, this feels only like slightly colder than the waters in Maine. Now, clearly that was not the truth because we, went through a couple more cycles of it, and then we went to the sauna, and they had some type of like ritual happening in the sauna, which this should have been my first indication. This should have been my first indication. They had some ritual in the sauna where there was a man in there. What was he doing? He was using towels to like push the air around the room. So he's just like swinging these towels around and pushing the hot air towards everyone and like moving it up and around the room. So the sauna is like much hotter than it normally is, and it's definitely a lot like the air just feels thicker. I don't know how else to put it. And then the guy that was leading this service, I forget what it was called. It had like a name. But the guy that was leading this finished it off by being like, to really get the maximum benefits of what we've done in here today, you need to go do the cold plunge right now. And then he was like, if you could do it for like a minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes. He said something like that. And I was like, damn, he wants me to do a cold plunge for like a minute to 3 minutes? That's kind of cuckoo bananas. But like, if he says so, why not? And so we immediately went to go do the cold plunge. And I swear to God, I almost passed out. I swear to God, I almost passed out and drowned. They almost had to fish me out from the bottom of the cold plunge and bathhouse. Do you understand how truly embarrassing that would have been? I made it probably like a minute and a half. I did like a minute, maybe a minute and a half. It was somewhere around then where all of a sudden I was like, my whole body was like, move, get out, move. And it was like panic mode had struck me. I exited from the cold plunge and I sat down and my vision was leaving me. I was like, just close your eyes, just breathe. Like, I had to pretend like I wasn't truly losing my mind and having a panic attack because I was losing my vision and everything was spinning. The whole room was like going in a circle to me. And I was like, I can't believe this guy in the sauna almost fucking killed me. He almost fucking killed me in the bathhouse. And then I see all these videos of people on social media doing it. And I'm like, I'm the ice queen. Okay. I love being cold, but that cold plunge, doing it for that long, my body wasn't prepared for it. Even though I had done so many rounds of it up until that point, I got too cocky. I got way too cocky. Like, I really thought, okay, I've done the cold plunge for 20 seconds 4 times today. Let's just kick it up. Let's see how long I can go. And in my head, there wasn't a possibility of me passing out. In my head, it was just like a game of willpower. It was not a game of willpower. Okay. If it was a game of willpower, I could have sat there all day. Okay, but it wasn't. I actually was going to pass away if I stayed in that cold plunge, which I suppose makes sense. But yeah, when I was sitting there and the whole room was spinning, I was like, please, God, don't let me pass out inside this bathhouse right now. That's going to be so fucking humiliating. And I didn't, thank God. Slowly the room stopped. I was just breathing and closing my eyes and pretending it wasn't happening. And then when finally I felt like things were getting better, I turned and looked at my friend Jordan and I was like, dude, I almost just fucking knocked it. I almost did not survive that one. That was not good. I did not feel well just then. Whoa. What the fuck happened? But then I'm like, how come none of you bitches on social media that do the cold plunges have ever passed out? How come that's not been pushed to my feed? Because Instagram Reels wants to show me all the worst things that happen on the internet, right? Do you know how many car accidents I've watched on Instagram Reels? The most insane shit that has gone on and been captured on video, I've seen it on Instagram Reels. And I've never seen someone pass out in a cold plunge. Like, what the heck? All I see is cold plunge content and all these people are just like chilling. They were like, yeah, and this is awesome, and I'm not going to pass out. Okay, well, what if you did? What if you did? Because I'm sure one of you has. So who's lying to me? I do enjoy the sensation of it, though. Up until I almost passed out when we were doing the smaller circuits of it, I was like, God, this feels awesome. I love a little sauna, cold plunge, hot tub moment. It's kind of awesome. But yeah, I almost pushed it. I really, really pushed it. And I won't be doing that again. Thank you. Thank you so much. I learned my lesson. I will not be passing out in a bathhouse anytime soon. But it was close. But we were very close. I've actually never passed out before. I was really in my head going through all the possible options. Like, is this going to be the first time I pass out in front of all these people on New Year's Eve when I'm half fucking naked? I can't control my body once that happens. A titty could come fully out right now on the floor, on the cold, hard concrete of this bathhouse. Oh, it would have been so bad. Thank God that's not what happened. Thank God. I really was pleading with some higher power when that happened, though. Like, when I get really inside my head like that and I'm fully in like a panic spiral, which really it doesn't even need to take this much. Like, this seems like a reasonable thing for me to stress out about. I feel like I'm going to pass out and I can't see straight and my vision is going black. That seems like pretty reasonable for me to lose my mind over. But like, I also lose my mind over having a tickle in my throat. Like if I, not even like a sick tickle, like I inhaled dust tickle in my throat and I have to cough in public, I will do everything in my power to swallow that fucking cough. I'll be pleading to the high heavens, like, please take this cough away. I'll be like speaking to my dead grandpa, like, please, Grampy, take the cough out of my throat. If I have to cough in this Uber right now, I'm literally gonna collapse. Like, it is so humiliating to me. I can't explain that. I think that's like a symptom that's come with me post pandemic. I never want to cough in public. I will never sneeze in public, literally ever. Every time I have to sneeze, you will catch me holding my nose like this until it goes away. I will not sneeze in public. Coughing in public is a different beast, though, because you can't even help it sometimes. It's like dust enters your throat. Like when I went to the movie theaters and had that fucking spicy ranch popcorn and almost fucking died in the middle of the movie theater. Speaking of almost dying, Alamo Drafthouse almost fucking killed me with their spicy ranch popcorn. I'm just inhaling dust. I'm doing the cinnamon challenge in the middle of watching Companion. I'm not joking. Like, that was my worst nightmare. That was my worst nightmare because I had to cough because I did the fucking cinnamon challenge in the middle of the movie accidentally. But that really is such a nightmare to me because I'm in my head like, no, guys, this isn't a sick cough. If it was a sick cough, I would be at home. I would be fucking at home if this was a sick cough. I am coughing right now because I have spicy ranch coating the sides of my throat. Okay? That is what's happening right now. And anyways, pleading to some higher power to just make that not a reality for me, the same way I was pleading with a higher power to not make me pass out of the bathhouse. And whatever I said, it worked because I didn't pass out. So when was the last time you needed to go to the doctors but just kept pushing it off? It's okay. You can admit it. We've all been there. You keep saying you're too busy. It'll heal on its own. Maybe you simply don't know which doctor to go to. Whatever it is, we've all been there. Sometimes booking a doctor's appointment can feel super daunting. But thanks to ZocDoc, there's no reason to delay because they make finding a doctor that is the right fit for you super easy. ZocDoc is a free app and website where you can search and compare high-quality in-network doctors and click to instantly book an appointment. We're talking about booking in-network appointments with over 100,000 different doctors across every specialty. From mental health to dental health, primary care to urgent care, dermatology, whatever it is, they have doctors ready and waiting for you over on ZocDoc. You can filter doctors by if they take your insurance, how close they are to you, and how closely they fit your medical needs. Once you land on the right doctor, you'll be able to see all of their appointment openings and select a time slot that works for you. And appointments that are made through ZocDoc typically happen pretty fast, usually within 24 to 72 hours of booking. And in some cases, you may even be able to score same-day appointments. I personally used ZocDoc to find my dermatologist when I moved to New York. When you move to a new city and have to find a whole bunch of doctors all at once, that can be a really intimidating task, and ZocDoc made the process of finding my new dermatologist much easier. So stop putting off those doctor's appointments and go to ZocDoc.com/emotionallyonline to find and instantly book a top-rated doctor today. That's ZocDoc.com/emotionallyonline. ZocDoc.com/emotionallyonline. So as I'm recording this, the Super Bowl just happened the other day, of which I did not watch. Not that any of you were expecting me to watch that. No, not one single person thought that I watched the Super Bowl. Not one person, alive or dead, thought that Maddie Drosbeck watched the fucking Super Bowl. What I did do, instead of watching the Super Bowl, was learn the abracadabra choreography, bitch. All right? There's like a little mirrored room in the basement of my building attached to our gym. And I was like, that's perfect. A little personal dance studio. I can learn it in there. But my thing is that I never want to use the gym if another person is in it. And this is just true for me across the board, no matter what I'm doing in there. I just don't want any of you bitches to be there. I need to do this alone. I need you to get out. Okay? Because I'm not going to teach myself the abracadabra choreography. I'm not going to be sitting there doing this move. All right? While you are just watching me, while you're lifting weights, like, what the fuck is that girl doing? No, this is a judgment-free zone. And in order for it to be a judgment-free zone, I need all of you to fucking leave. Judgment-free zone in that you are not allowed to perceive me. I can only perceive myself. But here's a life hack, right? I'm still gonna, I gotta test this theory a little bit. But in my head, I was like, all the like gym rats are just going to be watching the Super Bowl, right? So why would they be in the gym during the Super Bowl? They're not. So it'll be open. Nobody will be down there. And it was true. Nobody was down there. But now in my head, I'm like, is this true for all like major sporting events? Like if I just got one of those fridge magnets that has the sports schedules of all the New York teams, if I just got some of those and put it on my fridge, could that accurately predict the times in which the gym in my building will be empty? This could be huge if true, because I would love to go down there more often and teach myself some kooky, crazy little dances, but I simply cannot do that if other people are down there. I just can't. But it's way better to learn a dance when you have a mirror in front of you. So that way you can really see what you look like and see that you're doing it right. Like it's just a much better experience. But the thought of going down there, if there was even one person down there doing any activity at all, whether they were walking on the treadmill, lifting weights, minding their own business, whatever the fuck they're doing, I don't care. The idea of me having to go down there and teach myself Lady Gaga choreography while someone else is there, I'm like, it just feels quite personal. It feels like such a personal journey for me to do that. That is so intimate and vulnerable. I need to just do that stuff alone. Don't want any people there. Like if I go to Good Move, if I go to a dance studio where it's like, those are the vibes. But I'm just like, I don't know. I don't like a gym. The vibes are rancid in every single gym to me. To me, it's a solo experience. It's something that I want to do alone, and I need all of you bitches to leave me alone unless you're going to join me. You know what I mean? Like I want to be doing the exact same thing or nothing at all. Does this make sense? Is my trauma around movement showing? Nobody look at me. Everyone close your eyes. Put your head in the corner. Let me do it alone. But really, I feel like maybe I cracked the code. And maybe none of the gym rats go during major sporting events. And then it'll just be me and the girlies down there. And maybe if it was just me and the girlies, I wouldn't care as much. Okay, but even though I didn't watch the Super Bowl, I still did hear about this horrible cuckoo bananas bonkers hims and hers weight loss commercial. Boo! Tomato, tomato, tomato. I saw the first 20 seconds of the ad and went, yeah, no thanks. Yeah, no thank you. Don't buy their version of Ozempic, buy our version. Their version, super bad and nasty and preys on you. The healthcare industry in America, oh God, so bad and nasty. We all hate it. Us, on the other hand, like, shut up. Hey, quick question. What the fuck? What the fuck is wrong with some of you? Like, the fact that there are people sitting in like marketing boardrooms that are just sitting in a fucking circle jerk of each other. Like, how can we market this drug to vulnerable people and convince them somehow that the marketing of this drug is more ethical than the marketing of the equivalents of this drug, and that they're somehow making a more ethical choice by choosing our version of Ozempic over, like, you bitches deserve to be muzzled. I can't express this enough. And you know what? Ever since Hims and Hers shifted their like brand emphasis on being on their weight loss medications, I have personally received like 3 or 4 emails from them offering me money to promote it, which fucking obviously I would never take. You'd have to hold me at gunpoint and then fucking kill me and take over my social platforms in order to get me to promote that shit. Let me see if I can find one of the emails. All right, here we go. The most recent one was sent to me on December 6th, 2024. Just 2 short months ago, they're reaching out to me to work with me on a sponsored YouTube video integration where I can introduce my audience to Hims and Hers personalized weight loss treatment options. Which you'd think that maybe their influencer marketing team would do like a little bit of research on the people they're reaching out to. When I saw those emails, I honestly, like, my gut reaction is just to be like, do you know who the fuck you're talking to? Like, dead ass, do you know who the fuck you're talking to? All right? Because it was never going to be me. It was never going to be me. It is never going to be me. I think that shit is fucking insidious and dark-sided. I obviously hold the belief that Ozempic sponsorships, weight loss medication sponsorships are unethical for a lot of reasons. But the main one, obviously, being that I think this type of content is extremely insidious and preys on the insecurities of extremely vulnerable people. I think that is wrong. In order for those sponsorships to succeed, in order for them to see return on their money, in order for those videos to gain views and go viral and get picked up by the algorithm, what do they have to do? Who do they have to appeal to? I just feel like you think about it for longer than 2 seconds and you understand that in order for those videos to really succeed, you have to prey on some really fucking vulnerable people. And I don't feel good about that. Do you? The topic of weight and weight loss is so deeply fucking personal and is something that really only concerns you and your doctor, not you and some random influencer that's sponsored by Hers, and for damn sure not the company itself. Like, who is their target audience? Who, when they see this video pop up on their YouTube home screen or when they, play it as a Super Bowl ad, who are they hoping sees that? Really think about it. Do we feel good about what must have been said in those board meetings? The success of that piece of content is dependent on the exploitation of a vulnerable group, and therefore I will never support it. There it is. Be weary of any company that makes money off of convincing you to hate yourself or convincing you that the only path forward is if you take this magic potion. Your investment is going to be much better spent going to a therapist, going to a weight neutral nutritionist, joining a weight neutral movement studio, like pouring into things that make you feel good, that are good for you, that are also fucking kind to you in the process. Yeah, what about that? What about that? Have we ever considered that as one of the possible options? I'm just so tired of this shit. The marketing of a magic potion that has barely existed for long enough for us to know enough about it. Just fucking ignore them. Go watch The Substance again and fucking ignore them. And then watch The Substance again. And see if you missed anything the first time around. I can't. I don't even want to talk about it because it makes me so fucking mad. And I feel like I've talked about shit like this for the entire time I've been on the internet. My take on this shit has been the same since I was 14 years old. Like, track it. So fuck that fucking company. I have them blocked now because Yeah, of course I do. I am so against the advertising of products like that. Companies like that being able to buy up an ad spot to produce some shit like that and then push it out to be consumed by the masses, many of which are going to be extremely vulnerable people. The people who are going to buy into that are going to be a lot of extremely vulnerable people. I have a problem with that. I have a real fucking problem with that because it's not like a lighthearted decision, okay? You're not just like trying out a new toothpaste or, you know, downloading Uber Eats. Like you. And I just think that it's a subject matter that is so much more connected to people's mental health and emotional health than this type of marketing ever allows room for. It is dangerous. It is fucking dangerous. And I just feel like with all we know about eating disorders and like the state of body image in the world, how the fuck is shit like this still allowed? It actually pisses me off. But an account that I really love following on Instagram, Marielle Elizabeth, she is brilliant, so smart, has wonderful takes. She had something on her Instagram story that really rang true to me that I think will probably ring true to some of you guys as well. The first frame that she has on her Instagram story says how it feels knowing I blocked hers months ago and we'll never have to see that fucking commercial. And it's her looking cutie as ever. And then the second frame is her saying, because I used to feel like it was my job to plug in, to have a take, to participate in the discourse. But honestly, I don't think it changes anything. And I don't think it makes me a better, more resilient person. Like body shaming insults, if you've seen one, you've seen them all. The best way I can show up is to show you what a fat and happy person looks like, what a healthy relationship with movement and food can be, what a full and joyous life can be, and how to dress a plus-size body without buying Shein or Temu or sacrificing personal style to look smaller. That's what I'm doing. That's where my energy is best spent, and I encourage you to do the same. And I really just couldn't agree more. I feel like a lot of the time there is this pressure to like always have a take, have a response, be a part of the discourse, and like give a reaction and an argument against this bullshit, which sometimes is necessary. And I think there's probably going to be more opportunities, more moments that pop up in the timeline we're moving into where it's going to be necessary. And also, it's not your job to constantly have a take and to be so fully fucking immersed in the discourse that you lose yourself in the process. And I totally agree with what Marielle said, that a lot of the time what is more helpful and more meaningful is to just show up and be visible, be a visible example of what it means to be fat and also happy, to have a curious and joyful relationship with movement and food, to make content that is about allowing people to explore those subjects and explore what a healthy lifestyle could look like for them without shame. And there are plenty of content creators who are really fucking awesome, make incredible weight neutral health content who would never accept a sponsorship like that. So if you're following a bunch of health and wellness fitness influencers and you've seen them accept sponsorships from that fucking company, I would encourage you to unfollow them and replace those accounts with people that would never fucking promote some shit like that. I promise you there are plenty of accounts that are just as helpful when it comes to learning how to cook yourself more balanced and colorful meals, or, you know, what exercises to do when you're in the gym that also aren't making money off of convincing you to hate yourself or that you need to drink this magic potion in order to be loved. It's fucking stupid. I'll hit you with 2 recommendations right now. 2 accounts that I really love that I think make really positive and helpful health content. Laura Gerard is one of them. I want to say her @ is laura.gerard. Let me check this. Laura.gerard on Instagram. I believe she's also on TikTok as well. Body Friendly Fitness. And then in terms of nutrition, Salt and Sage Nutrition is my favorite. She used to do like a Trader Joe's shopping series, and it was awesome and really helpful. Her content is also insanely body neutral. And those are just 2 that I'm, rattling off at the top of my head here. There are plenty of content creators in the like health and wellness space that are making really helpful content that is also kind. And I think those are the creators that you should focus on, because those are the creators that would never accept a sponsorship from a brand like hers. Anyways, I know I kind of did end up having a take about all of this, but the point that Marielle said still stands. And I really do agree. And I'm going to be taking a page out of her book more often because, yeah, sometimes it is like hard to be fully immersed in the discourse all the fucking time. And it is true that sometimes I think the more valuable thing is actually just to be you and to be a like visible example of what a like happy, healthy relationship with your body can look like. How to, you know, approach joyful movement and balanced nutrition with a curious and open-minded perspective, one that isn't, you know, saturated in self-punishment and self-loathing. How can we be exploring these themes in our own lives? How to incorporate more things that make us feel good without tanking our mental health in the process, or, you know, convincing ourselves that we need to drink a magic potion to look one certain way. And if we don't do that, we're just not good enough. Fuck that brand. Fuck that commercial. That's that on that. All right, let's do some audience submissions. If you don't know, there is an audience submission box where you can submit anything and everything that's going on in your life, and I will maybe talk about it on the show. Hey, Maddie, I love getting your perspective on things, and I just want to hear if you've had any experiences similar to mine. I've gone on a few dates with a guy this past month, and I felt like we connected on every level. We are both in STEM, but neither of us like our careers and have more creative interests. We both like making art and writing and wanting to take a chance on ourselves with our creations, but he just told me he's getting friend vibes and wants to keep being friends. My gut reaction told me I don't want to be his friend, and I've been trying to listen to my gut more, so that's what I told him, nicely, of course. I just can't help but second guess myself on if I'm missing out on the chance to have a really good friend, of which I honestly already have plenty. Have you ever dated someone that genuinely wanted to only be friends, and did you continue that friendship? / how did you know you made the right decision? There have been people that I have dated and things didn't work out for one reason or the other, and we remained friendly, but I don't know that I'd call us friends, or at least not really close friends. You know, I feel like we're like peripheral friends at best. None of like my besties are people that I've dated though. So I feel like it really depends on how much I liked the person. But I think the truth is that like my bar for friendship is quite intimate as it is. So to go from dating to friendship with someone is like, it's still super intimate. So it might still be weird because it's like, oh, well, I have feelings for you. And now we have this like really intimate friendship. And that's just like, I can't move on if that's what we're doing. You know what I mean? Like if I had a less intimate idea of what friendship was inside my head, maybe I'd be able to do that. But I just feel like all of my friendships are very emotionally intimate. So I don't think that I really could if I really liked them. You know, I don't know. It really depends on the person and like how much I liked them, how invested I was. It sounds like you only went on a few dates together, but you were into him and you were excited about it. And like you went into dating not looking for new friends. You went into dating looking to date. So like I understand the sentiment of like, well, did I just miss out on an, you know, opportunity to make a new friend? But like perhaps you just feel guilty for saying you didn't want to be his friend, which is also like a real response. I have for it. Like, I don't know. Your response of like, you know, I already have enough friends. I don't want to be friends. I think it's kind of awesome. I kind of love that response. I'm like, yeah, no, I have enough friends. I'm not looking for new friends, particularly not from like random dudes that I go out with. So, thank you, but no thank you. And I hope you have a great life. You know, like I think that's fine. If that's how you feel, that is absolutely fine. I wouldn't like guilt yourself over that. But yeah, in terms of asking me what I've done and if I have, like I can't maintain that level of closeness with someone that I have feelings for if I'm not going to pursue them romantically. It's too intense for me. Everything about me is too intense. My friendships are too intense for that. My relationships are too intense for that. My feelings are too intense for that. Like, I am an intense person. I can't do that. Maybe someday, you know what I mean? Like, maybe after like time had passed, I could, depending on who it was and what the connection was and what my feelings were, of course. But like, no. We can be on good terms. We can be friendly. We can be peripheral friends. We can even maybe, like, to some people who have a lower bar for friendship, they might even consider me friends with some of the people that I've gone out with in the past. But that's not what I really consider friendship. Friendship for me is quite intimate and quite involved, and that's kind of hard to do with someone that I have liked past a certain point. Again, really depends how much I liked them. And I don't know, I think generally there's no like right or wrong answer with stuff like that. Like, you could be friends with them at any point in time if it was really fucking eating you up. But like, at the end of the day, if you're surrounded by awesome community, you don't really need to be friends with some random guy you went on a few dates with because you feel bad. You know? Listen to your gut. And also, like, I bet it's not that serious. And I doubt that if you had answered and been like, yeah, let's be besties, like, I doubt that all of a sudden he miraculously became like the best friend you've ever had. You know, like, I just don't think that's probably how that would have played out. I think you probably would have been like, yeah, for sure, let's be friends. And then maybe you hang out a couple times as friends, and then eventually you just fizzle out and never talk again. I feel like that's usually how that stuff goes when you don't really know each other. It's not like you were friends beforehand. So anyways, long story short, it's possible. It would take very specific circumstances for me personally. But if it was just a random guy that I had gone on a 2 or 3 dates with, no, I wouldn't want to be his friend. And I wouldn't think twice about it because I don't know that man and he doesn't know me. You know? Hi, Maddie, a longtime listener of the podcast and now a Patreon supporter here. Really appreciate you for what you do. My question is this. How do you know if you have a crush on a person and not on a fantasy of them? My whole life, I've only ever had crushes that would dissipate once I got to know the person better and realized that I was attracted to the idea of them and not to the real person. Right now, I have a crush that feels different from all the previous ones, but I still can't trust myself to fully lean into it. I would ask yourself, like, what it is that you actually like about them. Not about how they make you feel or about anything that can't be grounded in the present moment. I feel like a lot of the time when we have crush on like the idea of someone, it's because we're focused too much on the potential, the dreaminess, this like vision of a relationship that doesn't exist, or like how we think they'll be. Like, this person seems like they would be really supportive and really romantic, and it would be so fun to do this with them. But it's like, those are not real things because we don't actually know any of that. We don't have access to knowing that person in that way. I feel like a lot of the time when we have a crush on like the fantasy of someone, we're like projecting a lot onto them, and we are liking them more for like the potential of them or for the like dream version of them that we've concocted versus like actual traits that they have that we can see that have like nothing to do with us and how they make us feel. Like, I would think about this person as like a whole individual person, just observing them from a distance, assuming they're not interacting with you. List off some things that you like about them. And, you know, you can also list off traits that are specific to them interacting with you. It's not like those are not a part of it, but I feel like sometimes that's where we start to go into the fantasy of it all. Just try to clock of the things you like about them, of the things you find yourself dreaming of, how much of that is rooted in like their potential to be that within a relationship with you versus who they actually are right here today in this moment. But also, like, be easy on yourself, because it's like, it's just a crush. You're allowed to have like a fun, flirty little crush. And if you figure out through time that actually you don't really have much of a crush on them anymore and it goes away. That's like, okay. That happens. Sometimes that's like part of life, you know? Especially when like we're meeting people out in the wild. I mean, it's just like part of life. Sometimes you meet people and you're like open-minded about getting to know them or like becoming their friend or anything. Like this happens with everybody. Sometimes you make a connection with someone and then over time you slowly realize that you're actually not so suited to one another. Like I just think about like freshman year of college. You go to college for the first time and you become friends with like the first people you see in college. And then I feel like so rarely do the friends you make freshman year of college end up being the friends you have throughout your entire 4 years, because then you sort of like, you know, just branch off and end up finding the people that are actually more suited to you, that you have more in common with. And like for all intents and purposes, developing a crush on someone from a distance, maybe it's someone that's in your class in college. You know, you've got some classes together. Maybe this is a coworker. Maybe it's a neighbor, whoever it is. Like you maybe only know them from a distance. You're starting to get to know them a little bit. And then the more you get to know them, the more you're like, oh, okay, well, I definitely was more interested before I knew more than now. Now, the more I know, the less interested I am. Because it's easier to have crushes on people that we know nothing about. You know? And that could be a sign of avoidance. But it also could just be part of life, you know, like sometimes that is how we discover that, you know, someone isn't for us. But if you find yourself getting like deeply infatuated with people before you really know them, and then when you do get to know them, you realize that they're not the person you thought they were, and it's beyond just like a hee hee ha ha fun little crush. I feel like that is often described as a kind of avoidance. Only developing crushes for people who are like miles and miles away from you. And then by the time they get closer, you're like, ew, gross. So could be worth digging into in therapy if it feels like really intense. But if it's just like lighthearted little crushes, I think it's like that's part of life. You sort of have to get closer to someone to totally figure out if the initial attraction, initial crush was correct. Crushes are fun. It's fun to have a little crush. But if you're finding yourself like really infatuated and like swept off your feet by people that you know nothing about, that could be worth digging into. I have recently made the decision to not have casual relationships anymore, and especially to not seek them out, not being on dating apps, not giving it priority in my life and my thoughts, etc. This is the result of a longer process of self-discovery, healing from past situations, and finding out what I'm looking for both on a sexual and interpersonal level when it comes to any kind of intimacy. I'm feeling very at peace with what my life looks like right now as a result of this decision and couldn't be more sure that it's the right thing to do. Sometimes, though, I can feel a little nagging unsettledness creep up that if I'm not catching it in time, sometimes turns into hopelessness or even loneliness. In moments when I'm not feeling like this, it feels incredibly silly since I'm so sure of doing the right thing and am overall very content, but maybe you or some of my other emotionally online girlies can relate. What's most annoying to me about it, and the reason I'm seeking your insight, is that I know these feelings are not truly mine, but stem from comparison or expectations I have for myself. It's like I'm witnessing my own conditioning into a young woman that fits perfectly into hookup culture come undone in real time. And even though that mostly feels amazing, it does not all the time. Have you felt similarly? And do you have any advice on detangling real honest longing from the rather internalized expectations of being sexually active almost at all times? I'll start by saying that I don't think that loneliness is a feeling we have to run away from. I think it's okay to feel lonely. I think it's uncomfortable sometimes to feel lonely, especially when we're talking about it in like a desire context where you're like, this is a type of loneliness that can't be satisfied by like leaning on your besties or like seeking other kinds of community. You're feeling lonely in a very specific way. I don't think that that's a bad thing or something that like marks a lack of progress. Like, I just think it's part of the experience. I don't think that it would be human to expect ourselves to just like never experience longing or loneliness or this kind of like, yearning I love a yearn. Come on. Like, I don't think that that's a bad thing. I think that's just part of it, to be honest. I understand that you're quite frustrated with these feelings of like loneliness and hopelessness, the longing, the yearning, and that it feels the most annoying to you because it feels like they are thoughts that stem from these expectations that you have had for yourself in the past. But what if instead of separating ourselves from this feeling of like loneliness and yearning, we just accepted it as being a part of ourselves also? And as much as there is a part of ourselves that, you know, doesn't want to prioritize casual sex anymore and wants to prioritize perhaps an era of solitude or just, you know, breaking apart and rebuilding our images of sex and our relationship with sex, as much as there is a part of us that wants to do that, I think it's okay that there's also a part of you that has this longing for intimacy. I think that is real. And I don't think that choosing not to have casual sex diminishes that longing, you know? Like, when I made the choice to stop having casual sex, that never changed anything about who I was as a sexual person. You know, like my sex drive didn't change, the way I yearned, the way I longed, the loneliness that I felt, the wanting that I felt. None of that changed. I wasn't choosing to have casual sex less because I didn't want to have sex. And also it just felt like such an aligned choice, acknowledging that like sex really is such an emotional thing to me. And I think that there are worlds where I could have casual sex in a way that doesn't totally destroy me. But to be honest with you, the odds were just like not looking good. Like when I was like, I'm just an emotional girl. I'm an emotional girl. I'm a sensitive girl. Sex for me is always going to be very emotional. And so to have sex that is emotional on my end with people that are quite non-emotional is like a terrible experience, you know? So I just feel like for me, it's been a really wonderful experience to sort of reclaim my sexuality in that way and make it for something that's really about me and my pleasure and my experience and the like joy and romance of sex and getting to indulge in that without feeling like you have to shrink yourself or turn yourself into this like cold-hearted, I don't care about you, I've never cared about you, I don't have feelings for you, I can have this, you know, cold, emotionless thing with you, because I'm so cool and awesome. Like I can't do that. I can't do that. I don't want to pretend like I can do that. I don't want to do that, you know? So to me, like the decision to not do casual sex and now only have sex with people that I'm like involved with, that is a choice to me that feels aligned with the version of myself I always have been. Casual sex works for some people. They're fine with that. They can like turn it off and turn it on. I can't turn it off. And also I do think that hookup culture has gotten fucking out of hand, particularly like college aged men and how they treat women they hook up with. And I just don't like how people discard each other and how they treat each other like it's like, you know, just because we're not committed, we can't be human to each other, be kind to each other, be gentle, be nurturing, be loving, just because we're not committed. I think it's stupid. I've said this 100 times. I know you guys know that I say this, but I just, it really does bother me how people refuse to treat each other like people. I feel like even if you are having casual sex, you should still treat the person like a fucking person. And, yeah, I got frustrated as a woman that the culture was like not in favor of community care and about like the woman's pleasure. So much of it is about men. And yeah, that's part of it too. It's just, ugh, I was over it. But anyways, point being that like, just because I've determined that casual sex is not something that I can do, without emotionally decimating myself, like just because I've learned that this is my reality doesn't mean that I stop wanting to fuck people. You know what I mean? Like, it's still here. I don't know. I think to me, more than anything, the thing that became illuminated to me once I made this decision was like the kind of judgment that gets cast on people based on like how regularly they are or aren't having sex. Cause like this shit really feels so fucking normal to me. Like, I just feel like I experience my sexuality in such a like present and all-consuming way that I'm not concerned about it. I've felt that sometimes other people are more concerned than I am. Like, they'll be like, oh my God, that's such a long time. Like, geez, that must be really tough. And I'm like, well, like, I do just fine on my own, you know? And in many ways, it's actually a more enjoyable experience. I don't know. I think I've just become more critical of like how limited people's perspectives are when it comes to like what is a healthy sex life, and like how to some people the idea of like a healthy regular sex life means like regularly having intercourse with men. And I'm like, I just don't know that that's what that is. Like, I feel that I have a regular and healthy sex life. And I have not had sex with anyone in years. But that doesn't mean that I stopped experiencing my sexuality. Not in any way. I just think like people's perspective on like what counts as like the right way or amount to engage in your sexuality is just weird to me. I think more than anything, it's just been interesting to me to see how there is like one idea of what a like healthy sex life looks like to people, and I just think that they're wrong. I think they have an incorrect assessment about it. If your image of like a healthy sex life needs to involve intercourse with a man regularly, I just feel like we are not thinking expansively enough when it comes to sex and what makes your like personal sex life great. So anyways, I think the loneliness and the yearning and the longing is quite normal. And I think it's just kind of part of it, because we don't like shut off our desire for connection with other people in that way. We just get clearer on like what kinds of connections feel the most comfortable and safe to us. And sometimes finding those connections is just harder. But that doesn't mean the feeling goes away. And I don't think it has to go away. And really, I feel like a lot of this shit is connected to like heteronormative ideals on what is considered a normal or healthy sex life. Because, you know, I just feel like if you talked to enough single women who haven't had sex with men in several years, if you ask them how satisfied they are with their sex lives, I do fear that you may be shocked to discover just how many of those women are feeling more fulfilled in their sex lives since they started prioritizing their own personal pleasure and their, you know, solo sex life above the one they share with men. Just saying. The pressure to be sexually active with men specifically all the time, it's worth considering who that serves and like who benefits from that pressure, because it usually isn't women. And with that, I'm going to throw it on over to the post show. When I was learning the Abracadabra choreography, I did go back and watch the talent show performance I did when I was in high school, the Lady Gaga tribute that I did. And I don't think that I can ever show the full thing to everyone, but I think I'm going to watch bits and bobs of it on the Patreon, because I am feeling quite inspired by my younger self this week. And I need to talk about it. So I'm going to throw that over on to the post show. Be sure to join the Patreon. Join us over on Discord in the Lover Girls group chat if you want to connect even more after the show is finished airing. I love you guys so much, and I will see you in next week's episode.